Hello everyone, welcome back to Colingenic Books. It's me, Praise, the face of Colingenics, and I am going to be doing today a little book review on what I read. Well, the romance books I read in the month of April. I have three books to review today, although those are not like all the books I read, but those are my top favorite romance books I read in the month of April. Okay, so these three books are one is The Things We Had from the Light, which is a 2023 book by Lucy Score. The second book is Mouse High by Liz Tomforde. It was released in 2021. Then the third book is The Stopover by Swan, which was released way back in 2019. Let's get into this little review so I can, maybe if you have not read them, a little spoiler, but then again, just a little review to show you they are worth the hype and they are really good books. This is my library, my e-library. This app allows me to read ebooks in a paperback format. This is a Mouse High Club series. Me reading the Stopover. This shows just a little bit. Okay, so for the first book, which is Things We Hide from the Light, it is a second part of the Knockout series from Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Now, this book, it was somehow a slow read. It had 589 pages, which is not that long, but with the context, with the plot, with the everything, a slow read. I'll give a little synopsis about Nash Morgan, who is the chief police in the town and is just recovering from being shot, which is somehow a continuation from the first book, Things We Never Got Over. And Nash is the good brother per se, and although he's just recovering from a gunshot and attempted murder, he loses his memory, which is like a very fun and interesting part of the story because we get to see him having difficulties trying to remember, trying going to the site of the accident, trying to keep everyone away because he thinks that he has a problem by not remembering what almost killed him and his brother and brother's fiance. And although it was a very interesting plot line, they didn't really dive deep into his struggles, which I understand the book is just majorly romance and they might not want to dive deep into the um, criminal and criminal aspects of the book. But then again comes the female lead, Lina, which we saw from the first book that she's a friend to Nash's brother Knox. Now, Lena is somehow of a self-centered and shallow woman, although she seems like a good person. She has that kind of drop in, drop out kind of personality. She doesn't want to have a permanent thing when it comes to relationship. She just casually goes in and comes out. And now Knox living close by because they become next door neighbors, and she sees Knox as Nash as a goody two shoes, and she does not want anything to do with him, but relationship blooms. And that's a problem I found because I realized that the love was a little bit too rushed. It was very I don't know what Lucy Score was doing, but she just tried to like make it seem like there was a spark and they totally fell for each other's charm and personality and everything. But the romance, the spark was too fast, was honestly too fast. And I rate this book a 3/5. It's not bad. I enjoyed the dialogues and the snacky comments and everything, but Then again, it's my favorite of was my favorite of 2023 April. It's a very interesting book if you want to have into a short read, because I just read it within 4 hours, and it's a really nice book to like wind away if you have like a deep emotional book that you are currently reading on. So I would say it's a good book. You should look into it. It's not that bad. It's actually quite nice for a romance book and speaks to young adults, just a contemporary romance. It's actually a nice read. The second book is Mouse High by Liz Tomforde. It's a sports romance book. It's a little bit different from what I normally read, because I see sports romance as something that never lasts, and a lot of red flags, a lot of toxic relationships comes in the sport romance. But Liston, for the way she writes her sports romance, is always healthy, and that's what I realized when reading Mouse High. It's about the typical playboy sporting jock Xanders, who expects everyone to fawn over him, but then he meets Stevie, who doesn't take his crap and doesn't like his personality and everything, especially from the past relationship which she had with her athletic boyfriend, because she's has an elder brother, no, not elder, a twin brother who is a basketballer, but then she transitions to being, and she's a flight attendant. Yes, she transitions to being a flight attendant for the basketball team into being a flight attendant for the hockey team, which coincidentally Zenda is a part of, and they have to go through the whole season being together, seeing each other every time, and this leads to that, and they fall in love, which the process was actually kind of make sense, honestly, although some sports romance the way they fall in love doesn't really make sense. But this one, they actually fell in love, it made sense. The handle about how they went about the relationship was also very nice, a breath of fresh air. Honestly, I actually give the book a rating of 4/5, because not 5, because it's still not my cup of tea, but it was actually a very nice and very eventful kind of book. You see different challenges where Xander has with his parents, and she to Stevie, she has with her mother, who always makes snacky comments about her weight. And it's a very intriguing and interesting book, with each of them having their own problems but then coming together to solve it together. Then when the paparazzi finds out, and he has an image of being a playboy, and he tries to save her, which he shouldn't have, where the lack of communication in relationship comes in, and they resolve it. It's actually a very nice read, and I actually recommend. Yes, I recommend it very much. The third and final book, which is the Stopover by Swan, which is the first book in the Miles High Club series. It's about the eldest of the Miles brothers, I believe. He is has a one night stand with the female lead, who was flying in to get her journalist job. I believe she works in media. Yes, and she wanted to fly in, but they met on the plane. One thing led to another. They had a one night stand, and let's say a year later they meet again, where she comes to interview in his office, and one thing led to another. An office romance blooms, and there is a problem in the office, where there's a spy trying to sell company information and everything, and they try to tackle it together, and there's misunderstanding, typical romance concept, but it's actually very fast paced, no unnecessary talks, no unnecessary topics. The misunderstanding comes at the right time, leaves at the right time. The small things very okay, everything on point. I actually love this series. I'm actually already reading the Takeover, which is the second part of the series, and I will probably give a May review starting from that particular book. And I actually have to say it's a very nice book, straight to the point, everything clicks on point, did not disappoint. I'll actually go back, search more on her books, Swan, search more on her books and read through them. Yes, I believe that is it. I actually want to know your comments. If you have read the books, what do you think about them? If you've not, will you read it? It's actually a very interesting, they are interesting sets of books. So I think you should go ahead and read them. Thank you.